Hello, fabulous Capricorn. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of June 2016, General Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This month is a really big focus on work, focus on your projects, focus on your clients, and also focus on your health that is taking place for much of the month. And then sandwiched between that, as you enter the month and as you end the month, there is illumination, there is lightness, there is awareness on a level, on a very deep, heartfelt level of what direction you're going in and the strength that lies within you at the foundation of you and how that makes great things possible. So it goes from the day to the more spiritual, esoteric, and big picture. These are the two dominant energies for you this month. And it's easy to dive into what's right in front of you and let that permeate everything, especially what's right in front of you in terms of your work and your health. So let's break it down. Let's take it one at a time. As I look at this energy with around the new moon that's taking place, this energy is one that is very interesting. Astrologers are talking about it already a lot. It is one that speaks to tension. It speaks to confusion and misinformation, and it speaks to being made aware of how much you're motivated to experience change, and yet needing a little while to know exactly what it is that's going to allow the most meaningful changes to occur. In the workplace, as I look at this, I think to myself that in the workplace, I feel sad saying it. It's not always good to deliver news that might not necessarily be glowing. And yet, I do think that there's a lot of empowerment to be had by knowing how you can navigate the energy. And this particular energy is speaking to changes coming up in the workplace, people behaving in ways that may not necessarily be very forthright, may not be honest, stuff happening behind the scenes. Some of it you will be aware of, some of it maybe not so much, some of it working for you, but a lot of it maybe not so much. And I just really want you to be mindful of, what you already know going into this month. Like if you know that there are certain people, particularly people in supervisory roles or coworkers that are not necessarily of conscious light and energy, if you find yourself in a work situation like that, well, this is only going to magnify that. That energy will come forward that much more. And for a small percentage of you, I'm sorry to say, but a small percentage of you out there, there may be some behind the scenes, not honest stuff taking place. And that can be part of what lends itself to changes for you that seem on the surface less than desirable. So what can you do about it? Well, you can do a great job. That's one thing, right? That always helps a lot. But also with this energy, it is so important to take full ownership of what you're doing and to be impeccable with what you are doing. If you do that, you protect yourself, because the energy otherwise is one of confusion, of things not being able to maintain their container. So what do I mean by that? I mean that you may be working on something and it seems to all of a sudden all that work accounts for nothing. It could be that you are working on something and someone else takes credit for it. And these are the kind of situations you want to watch. And so you don't want to ever be paranoid, right? I really, really believe that. In fact, the amazing astrologer Rob Bresney, who I just absolutely love, have loved as far back as I can remember, has this amazing book called Pronoia. And it's basically about this belief that the universe is conspiring on your behalf. It's like the opposite of being paranoid, which is thinking that some negative stuff is happening. You want to be the opposite. You want to believe that positive stuff is taking place. And the way that you ensure that you end up on top is, again, be impeccable, document everything, and make sure that what you are doing is above reproach, that you are making sure that your T's are crossed, that your name is there, that you're putting your signature on things, that it is the kind of work that only you can do, that is obvious that only you can do. If you have more of a, if you have one of those jobs, for example, let's say you're a cashier, do you have more of those jobs that is by the hour and you're a cashier, you want to make sure that when you are logged out, like you log out, even if you just are walking away from that register for a moment, that there's not anybody else using that register with your access, okay? And you want to make sure that you are doing your part, doing what you need to do to make sure that you're double checking the change that you're giving and all of that, right? Like these are the types of scenarios. This is to get you thinking, what can I do to make sure that my behavior is absolutely impeccable? When dealing with coworkers, when dealing with supervisors, this is going to be really important. If you are someone who is self-employed and if you attract new clients under this energy, I would invite you to just, if you can, if it's possible, to make sure like payment methods are going okay, because that can happen around this time, that the way that payments are processed, well, it may be that someone's information is not accurate. So these are the types of things that you want to watch in terms of processing payments. With any projects, new projects that come along, you want to be sure that it really does feel comfortable for you. I have a feeling as I look at this, it can be a scenario where you may even get the opportunity to have a job interview. You go in for the interview and you're in the moment and somebody says, can you do this? And you're like, yeah, I can do this. And you're thinking about something, you're like, yeah, of course I can do that. Yeah, that's for sure. And then after the interview, you realize, I remember I did do that and I could do it, but I really hated it. Or, you know what, I really don't think I can do that. Like that realization coming just a little bit afterwards. And then if you know that about yourself, if you feel that, and if you feel that you walked into that interview and weren't able to really be absolutely 100% for all kinds of reasons, right? Maybe there was certain things you glossed over in your resume because that was a really challenging part of your life and you glossed over it. Well, why did you put it in the resume to begin with, right? Like that type of thing. And it ends up like sort of kicking up some memories of time past, like these types of things. So just be mindful, impeccable, sharing what it is that you're comfortable sharing, watching how payments are being processed, how you're communicating with coworkers, knowing that things are not necessarily going to be understood the way that you hope. These are ways to navigate the early part of the month. But I don't mean to make it a big deal because it's just a brief period of time, and ultimately it lends itself to these wonderful breakthroughs that come up a little bit later, towards the later part of the month. And I do also want to say, because I mentioned health as well, as I look at the sky, the chance of a misdiagnosis is possible. The chance of not getting the right treatment, not getting the right medicine is possible as well. So I would just be mindful of that, okay? And ask questions if you need to, and maybe not schedule any kind of really important appointments or anything around the new moon. It's just a brief period of time. It's taking place basically the second week of the month is especially the time that you want to watch. But this is going to be energy that is with us particularly in the first 3 weeks or so. As far as the first 3 weeks or so, if you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice. You go with the flow. You don't worry about it. But if you have a choice, then try to reschedule appointments where possible, just because that chance of things not being clear, and it could be anything from a prescription. It could be anything from just the advice you get, the diagnosis you receive. And sometimes it's nothing, right? It's a slight thing. Sometimes it's not nothing. Sometimes it is important. And again, best of intentions all around, and yet things can happen because it's life. So be mindful of that, and how you utilize this to your advantage is that you remember that through this all, you are coming to realize what is essential and what isn't. And you are realizing that if you ground yourself in faith and you strive to be clear about what you feel, that can provide strength as you move forward, and as you move forward through those moments that may feel a little uncertain. But as I said, late in the month, it is awesome, okay? Like huge turnarounds become possible, great breakthroughs become possible. We have a full moon happening, And it's happening in a very quiet part of your sky, a part of the sky that was lit up as you're entering this month. And it is speaking in supreme harmony with Uranus. And this to me is just the overnight breakthrough, all of a sudden the answer coming, the cure arriving, waking up feeling a million times better, having your answer, having a dream that makes everything clear to you, what has been taking place, what now you're ready to move towards. And this is a lightness of spirit that is preparing you for even deeper and more meaningful fruitions coming up next month when there is a full moon in your sign. But what the big news is that Pluto in your sign will speak in supreme harmony with Jupiter, and this is the last of a set of three rare conversations that have been taking place since late last year. Talk about a breakthrough. Talk about the world just opening up to you and luck being on your side, and the moves that you make at that time really help you to solidify your place now and for a long time to come. It is a power move that reaps great prosperity. So if you end up being in a situation where workplace has a lot of drama and you go, oh my God, I so do not want this for the next 20 years. You realize the situation that you're in at work, and you realize that this has been going on for a long time. You've accepted it. Now you can't really do that anymore. Late in the month is the time to make your move. Late in the month is the time to reach out in terms of other possibilities available to you, and what you really want to do, what adventure you want to take on. And this is about connecting with people, not only people in power, but this is about having a vision for your life and pursuing the vision instead of just being in the job. That's the gift here. That's the opportunity here. It's about getting you really honest with yourself so that you can make that bigger move, that bigger change. If it's a health issue that seems to come up for you early in the month, then that is going to provide you the impetus to make that change, to say, you know what? I've got to prioritize my happiness and my strength. That will serve as the impetus to make a change that allows you to feel strong now and possibly forms the bedrock for greater strength and a greater sense of not only well-being, but just a physical sense of presence and certainty on a health level, on a spiritual level, that takes root and serves you for the rest of your life. Remember that life is not just about those little moments. Yes, it's about being present for the little moments, but it's also about the bigger lessons and the bigger picture. And in the bigger picture, you are going in great directions. You are going in a direction that is positively inspired and positively powerful.